Hi guys, it's nice to see you again. Welcome to my vlog. Our topic is 20 dumb advice unsuccessful people give you. Once upon a time in the bustling town of Mediocriville, there was a group of well-meaning but perpetually unsuccessful people who loved to offer advice to anyone who would listen. Their guidance was often more misleading than helpful. Here's the story of the 20 dumb pieces of advice they gave, wrapped up in a whimsical tale. 1. Just wing it. In the heart of Mediocriville, Tom the tailor never followed patterns or plans. Just wing it, he'd say to anyone starting a new project. One day, his friend Sam decided to follow this advice and started a clothing line. The result? Clothes that didn't fit, and Sam was left with a pile of unsellable garments. Tom's wing it approach seemed thrilling but proved disastrous. 2. Don't worry about details. Jenny the juggler was famous for her haphazard performances. Don't worry about details, she'd exclaim, juggling flaming torches while ignoring safety measures. After a particularly chaotic show, the fire department had to step in. Ignoring details might have looked daring, but it only led to trouble. 3. Follow your passion, no matter what. Lenny the llama rancher loved llamas but had no business acumen. Follow your passion, no matter what, he'd advise. Despite his passion, his farm failed because he ignored practical aspects like budgeting and marketing. Passion alone didn't sustain his business. 4. Everything will work out on its own. Maggie the magician believed in magical outcomes. Everything will work out on its own, she'd say as she pulled rabbits out of hats. When her magic show flopped, her friends found that hoping for things to resolve without effort wasn't a viable strategy. 5. Success is all about luck. Randy the roller skater claimed success was all about luck. You just need a lucky break, he'd insist while skating through life. His constant waiting for luck to strike left him in the same spot, never achieving the success he hoped for. 6. Just do what everyone else is doing. Sally the soothsayer always followed the crowd. Just do what everyone else is doing, she advised to those seeking success. Her cookie-cutter approach led her to blend in rather than stand out, and she never made her mark. 7. It's too late to start now. Ned the novelist, who never published a book, advised, it's too late to start now. His belief that age or timing was a barrier kept him from pursuing his dreams, and he remained an unpublished writer with regrets. 8. Only focus on the big picture. Claire the cartographer would sketch grand maps but never include the fine details. Only focus on the big picture, she'd say. Her maps were beautiful but practically useless, and she realized that ignoring the little things could lead to major flaws. 9. You should never take risks. George the gardener played it safe and advised, you should never take risks. His cautious approach meant he never experimented with new plants or techniques, and his garden remained unremarkable, lacking the vibrant results that come from risk-taking. 10. Just rely on talent, effort doesn't matter. Patricia the poet believed talent was everything. Just rely on talent, she'd say. Her lack of practice and effort meant her poetry never improved, and she never achieved the success she believed was just a matter of natural ability. 1. Avoid criticism at all costs. Walter the woodworker avoided any feedback. Avoid criticism, he'd warn. His refusal to listen to constructive criticism meant his skills stagnated, and his creations never reached their full potential. 12. Money solves everything. Nina the naysayer thought money was the answer to all problems. Money solves everything, she'd say. However, she found that her financial troubles persisted despite her wealth, as money couldn't fix every issue in life. 13. The more you work, the better off you'll be. Bob the baker believed in working non-stop. The more you work, the better off you'll be, he'd boast. His constant grind led to burnout rather than success, proving that balance was key. 14. Just do what feels right at the moment. Ella the entrepreneur often acted on impulse. Just do what feels right, she'd advise. Her spontaneous decisions led to erratic business moves, and her ventures failed to thrive due to a lack of long-term planning. 15. Ignore your weaknesses and focus on your strengths. Carlos the carpenter ignored his lack of design skills. "Ignore your weaknesses," he'd say. His focus on his strengths alone resulted in poorly designed furniture that failed to meet customers' needs. 16. The past is irrelevant. Gina the guru dismissed past mistakes. "The past is irrelevant," she'd proclaim. By not learning from her errors, she repeated them and never progressed beyond her initial failures. 17. You don't need a plan, just go with the flow. Dave the Drifter advocated for a carefree attitude. "You don't need a plan," he'd say while wandering aimlessly. His lack of direction led him nowhere, as he never made concrete goals or took purposeful steps. 18. Everyone should like you. Tina the teacher tried to be everyone's friend. "Everyone should like you," she'd insist. Her constant need for approval made her lose focus on her core mission, and she struggled with maintaining authority and respect. 19. You can't fail if you don't try. Frank the fisherman never took risks. "You can't fail if you don't try," he'd say. By avoiding challenges, he never experienced the joy of success or the lessons of failure, remaining stagnant in his comfort zone. 20. Just follow trends and you'll be successful. Rita the recycler always jumped on trends. "Just follow trends," she'd say. Her lack of originality and critical thinking meant she was always a step behind, never establishing her unique voice or brand. In the end, the people of Mediocriville learned that while advice from their peers might come from a good place, it wasn't always sound. Success often requires thoughtful planning, effort, and the ability to learn from both successes and failures, rather than relying on misguided notions or avoiding the hard work needed to achieve one's goals. Certainly. Here are 20 more pieces of questionable advice given by the well-meaning but unsuccessful folks of Mediocriville, woven into another whimsical tale. 21. You should always take the easy way out. Larry the librarian was famous for taking shortcuts in every task. "Always take the easy way out," he'd advise. When his shortcuts led to incomplete research and mishandled library materials, he realized that quick fixes often compromised quality and effectiveness. 22. Just follow your dreams and everything will fall into place. Nancy the nail artist believed in dream following without strategy. "Just follow your dreams," she'd tell aspiring artists. When her unplanned approach led to financial troubles and lackluster client base, she discovered that dreams need actionable plans to materialize. 23. Avoid change at all costs. Freddie the florist never changed his arrangements. "Avoid change," he'd say, sticking to outdated styles. His refusal to adapt left him with dwindling customers, and he learned that innovation was crucial to staying relevant. 24. Everything should be done at the last minute. Olivia the organizer thrived on last-minute preparations. "Everything should be done at the last minute," she'd boast. Her habit led to disorganized events and missed deadlines, showing her that procrastination often led to chaos. 25. You don't need to learn new skills. Simon the seamstress was content with his old methods. "You don't need to learn new skills," he'd advise. As fashion evolved, his reluctance to update his techniques made his work obsolete, proving that continual learning was essential for staying competitive. 26. Don't listen to feedback. Pamela the painter dismissed any criticism. "Don't listen to feedback," she'd say. Ignoring suggestions meant her art stagnated, and she never improved her craft, revealing that constructive feedback is crucial for growth. 27. Be a perfectionist in everything. Albert the accountant strived for absolute perfection. "Be a perfectionist," he'd advise. His obsession with flawless work led to endless revisions and missed deadlines, teaching him that perfectionism could hinder productivity and progress. 28. Make sure everyone else gets the credit. Linda the librarian believed in selfless credit giving. "Make sure everyone else gets the credit," she'd say. Her lack of recognition for her contributions left her undervalued and overlooked, showing that fair recognition is important for personal and professional advancement. 29. It's better to have a lot of mediocre ideas than one great one. Bobby the blogger churned out countless average posts. "It's better to have a lot of mediocre ideas," he'd insist. The flood of subpar content drowned out his few strong ideas, proving that quality often outweighs quantity. 30. You should only work with people who agree with you. Rita the restaurateur avoided collaboration with differing viewpoints. Only work with people who agree with you, she'd advise. Her echo chamber led to stagnant ideas and lack of innovation, showing that diverse perspectives can enhance creativity and problem-solving. 31. Stay in your comfort zone. Tommy the taxi driver avoided any new routes. Stay in your comfort zone, he'd say. His refusal to explore new areas led to missed opportunities and growth, demonstrating that stepping out of one's comfort zone is often necessary for advancement. 32. Never set goals. Just see where life takes you. Emily the explorer wandered aimlessly. Never set goals, she'd say. Her lack of direction led to unfulfilled potential and missed opportunities, proving that goals and planning are key to achieving success. 33. Don't bother with finances, they'll sort themselves out. Ron the restaurateur ignored budgeting. Don't bother with finances, he'd advise. His financial neglect led to debt and business failure, illustrating the importance of financial planning and management. 34. Always avoid confrontation. Tina the therapist avoided difficult conversations. Always avoid confrontation, she'd say. Her unwillingness to address issues led to unresolved conflicts and deteriorating relationships, showing that confrontation can sometimes be necessary for resolution. 35. Be as generic as possible to appeal to everyone. Gordon the gadget guru made every product look the same. Be as generic as possible, he'd suggest. His lack of distinctiveness led to products that didn't stand out, proving that uniqueness often attracts more attention. 36. Never admit you're wrong. Alice the architect never acknowledged mistakes. Never admit you're wrong, she'd say. Her refusal to accept errors led to repeated failures and damaged relationships, showing that honesty and accountability are important traits. 37. Always prioritize others' needs over your own. Becky the baker constantly put others first. Always prioritize others' needs, she'd advise. Her self-neglect led to burnout and dissatisfaction, revealing that self-care and balance are essential for long-term well-being. 38. Your first idea is always the best one. Chris the chef never revised his recipes. Your first idea is always the best, he'd insist. His reluctance to innovate resulted in stale dishes, proving that iteration and improvement are often necessary. 39. Avoid technology, it's a distraction. Nancy the navigator dismissed technological tools. Avoid technology, she'd say. Her outdated methods led to inefficiency and missed opportunities, demonstrating that embracing technology can enhance productivity. 40. If you don't feel like doing something, just skip it. Laura the librarian skipped tasks she disliked. Just skip it, she'd advise. Her habit of avoiding unpleasant duties led to incomplete projects and chaos, illustrating the importance of tackling all responsibilities, even the less enjoyable ones. In Mediocriville, these pieces of advice, though well-meaning, often led to frustrating outcomes. The residents learned that thoughtful planning, embracing change, and balancing various aspects of life and work were crucial for success, rather than relying on misguided or overly simplistic suggestions. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.